episode 470 of the Soul Not For Sale podcast. Let's get right into it. It's Joe speaking with his billionaire friend. No, not Elon Musk. This gentleman, in my opinion, is way more interesting, way more to say, and goes deep into all sorts of theories throughout this whole podcast. But in this clip, we're talking about the importance of being able to be anonymous online and what taking that away could lead to. And also, we're talking about how the forefathers believed in a world where you should be able to speak anonymously as well, which I did not know. Very interesting from this gentleman. Let's get right into it. Before I do, I got to take you to the store. We got the newest design. It's called the Certified Pure Blood. For all my pure bloods out there, check it on out. YouTube is the kind of place where I can't even read what this says. But if you check it out, it's a certification of achievement for you being a certified pure blood. Now, if you want to get to that collection, you go here. You go to Certified Pure Blood. It's our newest collection. And we should have, if the wife executed, yes, she did. Oh, she's the greatest. We got t-shirts for men and women, tank tops for men and women, and a hoodie, of course, because you know how partial I am to hoodies. Now, we still have all the collections: Certified Pure Blood, America's Soul Not For Sale, Soul Not For Sale, just the black and white and some other colors, the anti-WEF stuff, and the Great Resist stuff. It's all on IamCoachColin.com. And if you want 10% off, put in the discount code IamCoachColin, all one word, all capital letters, one L on the Colin, gets you 10% off. And if you're someone who's purchased anything from our site, thank you, thank you, thank you. You are much appreciated. Now let's get into this clip. Very interesting stuff. And I have a lot to say about being able to post anonymously online. Let's go.
Well, that's one of the more fascinating things about Elon buying Twitter. Mm-hmm. Because boy, did that throw a monkey wrench into everything. When you see like Biden's tweets get fact checked, you're like, whoa.
Yep. There's a lot of things showing up on Twitter now that were not showing up on Twitter before.
Oh my God.
Yep.
So much.
Yep.
And just nutty shit too.
Yep.
I mean, like some of the wackiest conspiracy theories, Michelle Obama's a man, like all that kind of stuff, flat earth. But birds. I'd rather have that.
My favorite is the birds, by the way.
Yeah, birds aren't real.
Birds aren't real.
Yeah.
That one I'm pretty sure of. It doesn't make any sense.
That had to be
like why can't we
4chan thing?
Like why can't we fly? It's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got to be a 4chan thing.
Yeah. You know, sometimes they're onto something.
But I like that.
Yeah.
I like that wacky shit that's mixed in with things. I mean, it seems insane. But when I'll look at like some of the people that are putting it up there, and I look at their profiles, and I look at their American flag and their bio, and I'm like, are you a real human?
Yeah.
Is this a troll farm in Macedonia? Like, what's happening here?
Yeah.
There's a lot of that.
There is, and of course he says he wants to. You know, of course he says he plans to over time. He plans to root all that out.
Yeah,
he wants all identity to be validated, verified online. Having said that, we fought a war for free speech. We fought the Revolutionary War. A lot of that was for free expression. The founding fathers of this country very frequently wrote under pseudonyms.
Interesting.
Just like Twitter anons.
Really?
And this includes like Ben Franklin, when he was a commercial printer, he had like 15 different pseudonyms.
Really?
He would sell newspapers by having his different pseudonym personalities argue with each other in his own newspaper. Right? He'd like fight it out. Like he'd have sock puppets. And then, like the Federalist Papers was all written under pseudonyms.
Really?
Yeah. Like Madison, all these guys were under pseuonyms. And so like...
Why did they do that?
Because there was danger. Like there was very real danger associated with being like, are you going to like, what's the king going to think?
Right.
Like, is it like, this is sort of the two lines of argument, which is like, okay, like if somebody is not willing to put their own name behind something, like, should they be allowed to say it? And there's an argument, in that direction, obvious one. But the other argument is, sometimes there are things that are too dangerous to say unless you can't put your name behind it.
Yeah, that does make sense. So it seems like the pros would outweigh the cons.
Well, even just the micro version, which is just like, if you got something to say that's important, but you don't want to be harassed in your, you don't want your family to get harassed.
Yeah.
Right. You don't want, protests showing up outside your house for something you said.
Anonymous whistleblower protection.
Whistleblower protection. Yeah, exactly. This is, yes, was it the one person's a terrorist is another person's freedom fighter. One person's whistleblower is another person's troll. Like, I don't know. Like, and the genius of the American system is, say what you want, right?
Yeah.
Like, let's have it out, right? And so, that's the system I believe in.
I believe in that system too. But I also see Elon's perspective that it would be great if it wasn't littered with propaganda and fake troll accounts that are being used by various unscrupulous states.
And in fairness, what Elon says, actually, it's interesting. What Elon says is you will be allowed to have an anon or what they call sued or anon account under some other name you make up on the service. You'll just have to register that behind the scenes with your real identity, and specifically with like a credit card, right?
But then the fear is that someone will be able to get in there.
Correct. Yeah, that's right.
Which has happened already.
Yeah, that's right, and that is a big risk.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then again, you get the other part of this would be like Twitter is only one company, right? And so it's an important one, but it's only one, and there are others as well. So, for the full consideration of like quote unquote rights on this topic, you also want to look at what is happening elsewhere, right, including on all the other services. I'm
fascinated by companies like Twitter and YouTube that develop at least a semi-monopoly. Yeah. Because YouTube is a great example. Like if you want to upload videos, YouTube is the primary marketplace for that. And it's like nothing else is even close. Everything else is a distant second. But they've got some pretty strict controls and pretty serious censorship on YouTube. And it seems to be accelerating, particularly during this presidential election. Now that you're seeing these Robert Kennedy Jr. podcasts get pulled down from a year ago, 2 years ago, the Jordan Peterson one got pulled down. Theo Vaughn's interview with Robert Kennedy got pulled down. There's been some others. And Brett Weinstein, no, his didn't. But it's just these conversations were up for a long time. And it wasn't until Robert Kennedy running for president that they decided, like, these are inconvenient narratives that he's discussing.
Right. So I don't want to, I should not weigh in on exactly which companies have whatever level of monopoly they have. Having said that, to the extent that companies are found to have monopolies or, let's say, sort of dominant market positions, like that should bring an additional level of scrutiny on conduct. And then there is this other thing I mentioned earlier, but I think is a big deal, which is if a company is making all these decisions by itself, you can argue that it maybe has the ability to do that, although, again, maybe it shouldn't past a certain point in terms of being a monopoly. But the thing that's been happening is it's not just the companies making these decisions by themselves. They've come under intense pressure from the government. Right. And they've come under intense pressure from the government in public statements and threats from senior government officials. They have come in private channeled threats. And then all of this stuff I was talking about earlier, all the channeling of all the money from the government that's gone into these pro-censorship groups, right, that are actively working to try to suppress speech. And when you get into all of that, those are crimes.
Yeah,
that's illegal. Like everything I just described, I think is illegal, and there are specific like actual felony basically counts in the U.S. code for like those things actually being illegal. There are violations of constitutional rights, and it is a felony to deprive somebody of their constitutional rights. And so I think in addition to what you said, I think it's also true that there's been a pattern of government involvement here that is, I think, certainly illegal. And put it this way, this administration is not going to look into that. Maybe a future one will. So
do you think it's illegal, it just hasn't been litigated yet? Yeah.
Well, I think there's evidence of substantial criminality in the Twitter files that have come out. You need to have somebody, prosecutors have to, You either need class action lawsuits, right? You need to be able to go carve it open with large scale civil suits, or you need actual government criminal investigation.
And what has come out of the Twitter files other than independent journalists researching it and discussing it and writing articles? It's not being covered with any significance in mainstream news.
Well, the mainstream media has been on the side of censorship for the last 8 years. Like they've been pounding the table that we need to lock down speech, right, a lot more. So that they're compromised. And then the other investigation to watch is, I think it's the Missouri Attorney General. There's this state level investigation where there's been a bunch of interesting stuff that's come out. And the attorneys general have subpoena power. So they have subpoenaed a bunch of materials from a bunch of companies that, again, to me, looks like evidence of criminality.
Wow. Man, this guy, I fully believe this guy is saying way less than he knows, because this guy's a billionaire. He talks about how he doesn't go to the private conventions when it comes to AI. He likes to go to the back door, like where the real people in power discuss things. See, he talks about that openly on the podcast. I think he knows a lot more than he's letting on. And I love how much he's willing to say. As a billionaire, you could just be rich and be silent, and that's it. But to be calling out the government the way that he is, to be so well researched in history the way that he is, knowing about, founding fathers writing under pseudonyms, and that's the main thing that I wanted to touch on, right? I said this before. Founding fathers, they understood the core of people so well that the document that they made all those years ago still holds true to the tendencies of people in power today. The fact that they knew also to write under pseudonyms, right? The fact that they knew that, and you could argue, oh, he was just trying to sell papers, Benjamin Franklin, blah, 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 all that stuff. But he knew that there was a risk. If you say things that go against what the people in power think, there's a danger there. He knew that. And it's just very, very interesting. And the thing about Twitter wanting to do that, Elon Musk wanting to do that, here's the problem with that, is that when Twitter does it, the rest of them are going to do it. And it's going to take away all the anonymous, all the anonymousness that we have online today. And that's a huge problem, because we need to keep that. We need to keep that for as long as we can. It's the exact same situation if you move to complete digital cash. It's good. There's bad along with it, but it's good that you right now can take a bunch of cash and buy something and nobody has to know about it. I don't know what you're going to buy. I don't know if it's going to be good. I don't know if it's going to be bad. I don't know if it's illegal. I don't know if it's not illegal. I don't know if it's big or if it's for your wife or for your kids or anything, because it's not my business, right? If you understand how crypto works, you could find out, if you knew my wallet number, you could go look at my wallet number and see everything that I've purchased. Now, the good thing about crypto is I could have 15 different wallets and you'd never know which one to actually look at. And maybe one of them is very, very hidden, but it's still an issue. So when we talk about central bank digital currencies, that's the issue there. They'll be able to watch everything that you spend money on, and they'll be able to stop certain things and limit certain things, and that's an issue. Same thing's going to happen online. The same exact thing. And if you think that there's not going to be a place where those two things intersect, your finances and what you do online, you're crazy. It's already intersecting. How many times have we heard of some lady call someone the N-word, and that's what she did online, and now all of a sudden she gets fired? Finance directly impacted. And yeah, it's an act of racism, and yeah, that sucks, but should the two things correlate? I don't know. But actually, I don't think they should. I think whoever she calls that should get to call her something, and they have it out in an argument. If it escalates into something violent, that's what happens. And then whatever happens in terms of the law is what happens. They get taken away. Boom. That's how it should be dealt with. She shouldn't be fired, and then her family gets harassed, and then she's outcasted from her community. I don't think all that should happen to people, no matter what it is that they do in terms of calling somebody a name, going back and forth, So when it comes to, the online thing, it's going to be so much more. Now, here's something that they said. They said Elon Musk is going to have it so you can be anonymous, but it's going to be registered to something that's not anonymous, like your license, like your passport, whatever it might be. It's going to get hacked. It's going to get hacked by a kid who's 13, who's in Missouri, who's just, messing around with computers and just knows what to do to get in there and knows how to cover his tracks. That's for sure going to happen. Hackers come in all shapes and sizes, and they're usually very young people. That's one scenario that could happen. Here's another scenario that will for sure happen. The government will be able to hack into Twitter or Instagram or Facebook or any of these places, hack in, find out who is Freedom Fighter 642. Who is that? Boom, reach in. Oh, it's this guy. Okay. We're going to freeze his bank account. Why is my bank account frozen? I don't know. Why would it be frozen? He can't exactly out himself as being this person online who's saying all these disparaging things about the government. You know what I mean? It's like there's so many different things that could happen. So many different things could happen. Somebody, again, going back to that black hat hacker type, random person hacking. They could hack a big account and be like, listen, give me $10,000 or I'm going to tell everybody that you're the guy who's, racist guy 647 who's harassing every single person online, going crazy. Give me $10,000. I'm going to out you. It just goes on and on and on. And then all of a sudden it's like you're giving your license to Instagram and Facebook and all of these social media companies which already have all of our data. That was the trade. We use your platform any way we wish to within your rules, I guess, in terms of racism and hate speech and all that stuff, swearing, whatever, what have you. We use it within those confines and you have all of our data. It was something that we didn't know we signed up for, but that's what happened. And now they have all of our data all the time. Facebook even has access to data that you're doing when you're not on Facebook. It's ridiculous. And then on top of that, they're going to get our licenses and our names and our IDs. That's crazy. And I keep saying license because you can write down any name you want, but you're going to have to verify it with a document. It's going to be a license. It's going to be a health card. It's going to be a passport. It's going to be something. I think that's crazy. They're taking everything from us. You already took the data, and the data built your company up into $1 billion company. And now on top of it, you're going to want an ID as well? Then give us back our data. Give me back my data, and I'll sell my data as I please. I know how much my data is worth. My data, coupled with all of yours and millions of other people, our data is worth billions of dollars. I don't know. I think it's nonsense. And I think it's a very slippery slope. Jordan Peterson touched on this about 5 months ago on his last appearance on the JRE, where he was talking about how psychopaths are growing at an alarming rate online because they're allowed to be anonymous and there's no consequence for the lulz culture. There's no consequence for just trolling. And he was suggesting that there should be a separation between the real people and the trolls, the anonymous people. And again, absolute nonsense, because then that leads to, well, if you want to be in the main pool, you have to identify yourself. It's just more identifying. I just don't think that's right. And I'll go back to what I was saying at the beginning of this. The founding fathers knew that wasn't right too. They knew that there are certain things that have to be said, that need to be expressed, but you can't attach your name to it, And I've changed my tune on this. I mean, I remember years ago, I would always think, because I've always just used my name online. I've never really cared. I've always been a fringe type of person, and I'm not afraid of anything. And, I've lived a wild life, so I haven't cared about much. So I've always just been, you can see me. Big deal. Come, No, don't actually come, please. Not a violent person. But yeah, I've changed my tune on that quite a bit. I used to think if you want to troll, you should have to put your name out there as like a macho machismo kind of thing. Like, hey man, you want to talk shit to me? Like, come say it to my face type of thing. But I don't think that anymore. It's essential that we're allowed to be free in that sense. And I'm glad that this guy gets it. I'm so sorry I can't pronounce his name. I keep trying. It's like Andreasen. Mark Andreasen. He's a billionaire, great guy, tech guy, heavy understanding of what's going on in the AI space, heavy understanding of freedom of speech. Like, he completely gets it. Yeah. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you think we should have to start identifying ourselves. I know a lot of people are already like, hey man, I don't even have Twitter anyway. Again, it's going to spread. It's going to go from Twitter doing it. It's going to be successful on Twitter. It's going to be allowed on Twitter. We're all going to accept it. And then the other ones are going to go, we want to do that too. The other one's being owned by almost just one person. I mean, we're talking about Mark Zuckerberg owning Threads, Instagram, and Facebook, right? Then all of a sudden Twitter, then YouTube starts doing the same thing. If you're a partner of YouTube, you've already had to go through that whole thing, write down, like, not quite ID or anything, but it's pretty close. Then Rumble might start doing it. Maybe they won't. I don't know. But once everybody's doing it, it becomes a slippery slope. And the next thing you know, you don't have any protections online whatsoever. And then again, I'll say it again. If you don't think that there's going to be a correlation between what you're saying online and your finance situation, your bank account, especially if we go fully digital, you're crazy. They're going to be hand in hand. They're probably going to be scanned within the same barcode. So the more we keep all these things separated and keep our autonomy and keep our anonymousness ability, the better off we'll be. That's just me. Let me know what you think in the comments. Like the video. It helps so much. Boosts us out of the shadow realm. And this is episode 2010. Check it out. Very informative podcast. 2.5 hours of pure gold. They are talking all sorts of stuff. And other than that, I'm out.